Imagine a prison built on a jagged rock, surrounded by icy, turbulent waters miles from shore. This was Alcatraz, America's most secure, escape-proof federal penitentiary. They called it the Rock. For nearly 30 years, it held the country's most notorious criminals, and the wardens boasted that no one had ever successfully escaped. But on the night of June 11, 1962, that all changed. 3 men did the impossible. They vanished from their cells and were never seen again. This is the story of Frank Morris and the brothers John and Clarence Anglin, and their legendary breakout. Frank Morris was a career criminal, but he was also brilliant, with an IQ reportedly in the top 2% of the population. He was the mastermind. The Anglin brothers, John and Clarence, were seasoned bank robbers and experienced escape artists in their own right. A 4th man, Alan West, was part of the plan but got left behind on the fateful night. For months, these men worked in secret right under the guards' noses. Their plan was audacious, meticulous, and incredibly risky. The first step, getting out of their cells. During music hour, when the sound of an accordion would echo through the cell block, they used sharpened spoons and a drill made from a stolen vacuum cleaner motor to chip away at the concrete walls around their air vents. It was slow, painstaking work. To hide their progress, they crafted fake grillies out of cardboard and paint. But getting out of the cell was just the beginning. They needed a way to fool the guards during the nightly head counts. This is where their plan became truly ingenious. Using a mixture of soap, toilet paper, and stolen hair from the prison barbershop, they sculpted realistic-looking dummy heads. In the dim light of the cells, these heads, tucked into their beds, looked just like sleeping inmates. With the walls breached and their decoys in place, the real escape could begin. Each night, they would slip through the holes into an unguarded utility corridor behind their cells. This narrow, dark space became their secret workshop. They climbed up the plumbing pipes, 3 stories high, to a ventilation shaft on the roof. But getting off the island was the biggest challenge. They needed a raft. Using more than 50 stolen raincoats, they painstakingly stitched and glued them together to create a makeshift inflatable raft. And life vests. They even fashioned wooden paddles. All of this was assembled in their secret rooftop workshop. On the night of June 11, 1962, everything was ready. Morris and the Anglin brothers squeezed through their vents for the last time. Alan West, however, couldn't get his vent cover off in time. His hole was too small, and by the time he finally broke through, the others were gone. He was forced to return to his cell. The other 3 climbed to the roof, scrambled down a pipe, and made their way to the island's northeast shore, a blind spot for the guard towers. They inflated their raft and slipped into the treacherous, freezing waters of the San Francisco Bay, aiming for Angel Island 2 miles away. Then they vanished. The next morning, the guards discovered the dummy heads and the alarm sounded. A massive manhunt began, one of the largest in U.S. history. The Coast Guard, FBI, and local police scoured the bay and surrounding areas. Days later, pieces of their raft and a paddle washed ashore on Angel Island. A waterproof bag containing personal items belonging to the Anglins was also found, but the men themselves, no trace. The official conclusion from the FBI was that the inmates drowned in the cold, strong currents. The case was closed in 1979, and their files were handed over to the U.S. Marshals Service. But did they really drown? The mystery has only deepened over the years. No bodies were ever recovered, which is unusual for the Bay. The Anglin family has long maintained that the brothers survived. They claim to have received postcards and messages from them over the years. In 2013, a letter surfaced, supposedly written by an elderly John Anglin. It claimed all 3 men survived the escape, but by a hair. The writer stated that Frank Morris died in 2008 and his brother Clarence in 2011. He offered to turn himself in exchange for medical treatment for his cancer. An FBI lab analysis of the letter was inconclusive. Then there's the photograph. A family friend of the Anglins claimed to have taken a photo of John and Clarence on a farm in Brazil in 1975, 13 years after their escape. Forensic experts have analyzed the photo and some believe it's highly likely to be them. So, what do you think? Did these men pull off the greatest prison break in history, outsmarting the system and living out their lives in freedom? Or did the rock claim its final victims, their bodies lost forever to the depths of the bay? The U.S. Marshals Service still keeps the case open. The warrants for their arrest remain active, and they will until each man's 100th birthday. The mystery of Alcatraz endures. Thanks for watching. If you're fascinated by unsolved mysteries like this one, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.